In today's guide, we'll discuss a few tips that you can use if you can't afford to live on your wages here in the UK. We'll answer some common questions and provide you with actionable steps that you can take to ease your financial stress. There's no official way to measure what is considered low pay here in the UK. For instance, the DWP, or Department of Work and Pensions, defines low pay as a household that earns only 60% or less than the national average salary, or 60% of approximately £31,000 a year. So, an annual income of £18,600 a year or less would be considered a low wage by the DWP. However, this calculation has been criticised. The Minimum Income Standard Project goes further and considers that any household with less than £19,200 a year should be classified as low pay. So there may not be a fixed rate of pay that's classified as a low salary in the UK, but Unison estimates that 13 million households are low-income households. So if you're struggling to make ends meet on your current salary, don't worry, there are things you can do to improve your financial situation. Let's look at some tips on how to increase your income and reduce your expenses so you can make your salary go further. Firstly, we need to talk about food banks. These are places where people who are struggling to live off their wages or benefit payments can go to collect free food and household essentials that have been donated by the wider community. If you're struggling to make ends meet and cannot afford to feed yourself or your family, you should consider using a food bank to help ease your financial stress. The people who run these events do so without judgment and with a genuine willingness to help people who are worse off. So, starting a monthly budget. This is a great way to identify spending that you can cut out. Sometimes we spend way more than we believe on morning coffees, workday lunches, and so on. By reducing these expenses, you may be able to save a lot each month. It's a great way to keep track of your expenses and to avoid overspending. Next up, you should contact your local council to ask if you're entitled to a council tax reduction. Deductions in the normal payment rate are offered to some low earners or households that do not have two fully working adults. You may have even paid too much council tax in the past and are eligible to claim those payments back. However, it's important to never purposely make a false claim for a deduction, or you could be hit with some costly fines. Next, let's talk about switching utility suppliers. Many renters in particular don't bother switching their utility suppliers because they believe it's too much trouble. The truth is, it's now no trouble at all. Thanks to the UK government switcher service, you can call their team for free and have someone find you a better deal to save you on electric, gas, internet or water bills. They will even execute the switch for you, so you'll hardly have to move a muscle. You may end up saving hundreds or even thousands of pounds a year by switching to the cheapest supplier. Right now, energy suppliers all charge roughly the same rate, so there may not be a lot to gain, but it's worth checking as that's unlikely to be the case forever. Moving on, have you ever thought about cancelling those non-essential subscriptions or services? Whether it be home grocery delivery services, a magazine subscription, Amazon Prime or Netflix, we all have these little luxuries in life. But they are a quick win if you need to save money, and you can always resubscribe in the future. Finally, have you ever considered asking for a pay rise or for more hours? The previous tips were all focused on ways to free up some of your income, but it doesn't mean you can't focus on increasing your income. You may want to try and negotiate a wage rise with your boss or ask for more hours. If you do try to negotiate a wage rise, focus on what you bring to the company and how you help the business. Do you have any special skills that make a difference? Lead with these in your negotiations to evidence why you're worth a wage rise. Some studies have found that people who change jobs semi-regularly tend to earn more. So you might also find that occasionally sending out some applications could land you a higher paying job. It's often easier to get a new, higher paying job than it is to get a pay rise in your current position. And lastly, get out of and stay out of debt. This one may seem the hardest of all to achieve when you're on a low income, but it's one of the most powerful ways to take back control of your finances. Credit card interest, overdraft charges, late penalties, and more are surefire ways to see your wages eaten up, leaving you with next to nothing to live on. While a small amount of affordable credit can be beneficial, it really is best to avoid bad credit at all costs. This can include payday loans, buy now pay later schemes, and even bank overdrafts, as these all have some of the highest interest charges and late payment penalties. If you're struggling with debt, then there are options available here in the UK. Some are free to use and others will include fees, and each will have their own pros and cons. If you want to learn more about the solutions available, then we've created a really great form that you might be interested in checking out. Click the link in the description to get started and answer a few multiple choice questions like the total amount of your debt, how many people you owe, your living situation, and we'll connect you with one of our trusted partners so you can find out more and take steps towards improving your financial situation.